and welcome to NTA Nationwide. I am Miriam Akbata. President Muhammadu Buhari says the People's Democratic Party, PDP, still owes Nigerians explanation on how it expended the huge resources that accrued to the country from oil sales between 1999 and 2014. The president said this while receiving the leadership of organized labor, which came to felicitate with him on his electoral victory at the State House. According to a statement by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president thanked the organized labor for showing support and patriotism during the presidential election. He pointed out that the current administration met a country with dilapidated infrastructure and questions what the party that was in power for 16 years did with the country's earnings from oil, which reached a peak during the period. On what Nigerians can look forward to in the next level, the president promised to continue pushing the change agenda and focus on security, economy and fight against corruption. He urged organized labor to partner with the government to make the country peaceful, prosperous and corruption-free. The statement indicates that President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Ayuba Waba, lauded President Buhari for being worker-friendly, as exemplified in the granting of bailout funds to state governments in paying backlog of salaries and pensions. The Labour leader also appealed to the National Assembly to earnestly pass the National Minimum Wage Act, asking the president to thereafter sign it into law within the shortest possible time. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says all seeming anomalies noticed in the last election are being corrected to have each free election on Saturday this week. The electoral umpire gave the commitment at the commencement of the distribution of sensitive materials for the election in Awka. Daniel Opai reports.
Operatives, political parties, agents and other stakeholders were on ground to ensure that these materials are distributed safely as they were from the CBN vault. The sensitive materials, which comprise of ballot papers and the result sheets, are meant for the 21 local government areas of Anambra State, and the materials for the supplementary elections in Idemili North and South Federal Constituency. Anambra State Resident Electoral Commissioner Nkwachuku Orji assured that INEC is ready to conduct a seamless election, having learned from its past.
In the course of the distribution, some people got under, but we replenished them, in the course of the process. So we have a full supply of all the materials that we need.
Political parties' representatives commended INEC so far, but sued for improvement in the electoral processes in Nigeria.
You don't mind about the minor testings. You talk of the final, the end products. The end products is what matters most.
Things should go normal. Let the will of the people count. Otherwise, people will be so distrusted about this election.
They should go out and vote. It is their civic responsibility. That's all there is to it.
The exercise is still going on transparently. For now, I will commend INEC for the way they are doing it. The 30 state constituencies, their materials are being placed one after the other.
The March 9th State Assembly election in Anambra State will see many of the registered political parties in Nigeria jostling to occupy the seats to represent the 30 state constituencies in the State House of Assembly. In Awka, Daniel Okpai, NTA News.
Still on elections, INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Abia says it has taken adequate measures to ensure that the shortcomings observed during the last election in the state will not be repeated. The State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Joseph Ilo, disclosed this in Umuahia at a stakeholders meeting which had in attendance security chiefs and leaders of all political parties in the state. Correspondent Chinyere Okoli completes the report.
The INEC boss noted that the commission will also conduct a rerun elections in affected areas for Abia South Senatorial District, as well as Aba North and South Federal constituency seat. He, however, expressed concern over the desperation of politicians as a major problem facing the commission and appealed to them to be guided by the laws and guidelines provided for elections.
We are appealing to them to please shield their soul. This election is not a do or die affair. We set the table flat so that all operatives, all political parties will participate without impediment, will participate unencumbered.
The Commissioner of Police Abia State, Mr. Ene Okon, assured the people of the state of an improved security during and after the election.
My job is to provide security, and my job is well cut out for me in the Electoral Act. My job is cut out for me there. What I am to do as a police officer is there in the Electoral Act.
Others who spoke called on INEC to check the activities of its ad hoc staff in the field to enable credibility in the election. In Umuahia, Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
Still staying with elections, as the countdown to the March 9th gubernatorial and House of Assembly elections continues, electoral activities have heightened ahead of the polls. Umo Basiedet brings us an update from Calabar, the Cross River State capital.
In Cross River State, expectations are high as candidates of different political parties embark on last-minute campaigns to try to garner support from the electorate. And for the supporters, they are also using this opportunity to endorse candidates of their choice.
A vote for APC is a vote for Usani and his team. And so it will be a better government for the people.
SDP has never endorsed Governor Ayade. We've never endorsed Ben Ayade for anything except for his exit. What is left is for us to get all our supporters out there to exercise their inalienable rights to vote on Saturday.
The contenders are, however, confident that INEC come Saturday will deliver a credible, fair and transparent elections. In Calabar, Umo Basidet, NTA News.
Moving on to security matters, governance and security are two sides of the coins that shape the society through the purpose as electorate on the 9th of March. Nigerians will again go to the polls to decide those who would rule them for the next 4 years. In this report, Ronke Kolawole takes a look at how the Nigerian police force have played its roles in the 2019 general elections as the second segment of the election draws closer.
Left, right is a trademark during parade. Beyond that, the police is said to be a friend of the people.
Honestly, I really commend them because the way they handle the electorate, it was very, very commendable.
The security officers, both police and civil defense, they all did well. There was calm. There was no problem at all.
They are putting their best. And I know by the grace of God, with the new IG, they'll do more.
The written goes on, and the views are the same, that the Nigerian police force stepped up its efforts to providing adequate security for the February 23 election. The election for many is not without lessons, especially with pockets of violence recorded in some parts of the country, bringing to reality the fears in some quarters that violence was imminent in some states, and it is said that when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Politicians are known to hit the polity, and the advice to them is not to hit up the polity, not to arm or send out young persons under the guise of political talks or party agents.
They should first of all conduct themselves so that their supporters will look at them and emulate from them and follow same peaceful and orderly manner.
A look at the presidential and National Assembly polls indicates that more than 3,000 operatives were deployed nationwide to man the election, a development many say speaks volume on sincerity of purpose for a police force of 350,000 to have almost all its personnel in service delivery.
We were able to design a security arrangement to tackle both the general threats as well as specific threats that are localized in some states, in some local government areas, and in some wards. And by so doing, we were able to proactively deal with a lot of security issues.
With March now a few days away, the force had thoroughly assessed its performance in the February 23 election and came up with improved strategy to secure states.
Have got customized and tailored to suit security arrangement for each state of the Federation. Taking into cognizance the prevailing security situation, the history of the state as it relates to electoral violence and electoral-related offenses.
I would implore the Nigerian police force and other security agencies to keep up the good work, in the right frame and on the right grounds.
The consensus of the interviewees is for the Nigerian police force to remain apolitical, professional and civil in handling the forthcoming general election across the country. Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
On elections, Kano, the electoral umpire, is leaving no stone unturned. Anything in chance in the conduct of the elections, as the Commission has constituted a committee to monitor what is happening in all the polling units for quick response. Yahanasu Hassan Barao reports that the sensitive materials had already been dispatched to the 40 constituencies in the state.
This is Independent National Electoral Commission, Kano, where the distribution of sensitive materials has since commenced. There are 55 gubernatorial candidates contesting under the platform of various political parties. Among them are 7 female candidates, and there are 769 assembly contestants, and among them are 40 female candidates. We would also like to hear from the Resident Electoral Commission on how they have made arrangement for logistics, especially that has to do with malfunction of card reader during the previous election.
Well, thank you very much. We know in logistics you look at mistakes committed or unexpected events that took place, and we had a meeting and reviewed the whole process. And we have improved much, and some of the incompetence is demonstrated by some of the ad hoc staff. We have taken care of that. It's not that the card readers were having any technical problem. We realized that it was more to do with lack of competency, and we have tried as much as possible to get our technical people to address that issue. And there will also be refresher course at the rack centers before deployment to the fields. So far, we have also engaged additional RATEX with more competencies. These are some of the measures in relation to the card readers that we have taken.
The distribution of the sensitive materials are taking place under the close supervision of party agents, security agents, and electoral officials. So we'll hear from some of the party agents on how they see this distribution. How do you see this distribution?
Well, I can say so far so good. So far so good in the sense of whenever we have a problem, when we raise up or we take up the matter with the INOC officials, they are quick in responding. And of course, while we are doing, we will be identifying problems here and there. And of course, based on the experience we have had on the previous election, we are rectifying a lot of things.
Nowadays, there is no problem what to say about. We are satisfied with the distribution of the working materials.
So distribution continues to all the 44 local government areas of the state, where 40 candidates of the assembly are expected to emerge as winners.
In other news, the former chairman, board of directors of one of the new generation banks, Tunde Ayeni, has been arraigned before a Federal Capital Territory High Court in Apo. Tunde Ayeni, alongside Timothy Oguntayo Are, are standing trial on a 4-count charge bordering on alleged criminal breach of trust running into over 4 billion naira. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which arraigned the defendants, is alleging the duo for conspiring at different times to fraudulently divert depositors' funds domiciled in their bank. The defendants pleaded not guilty of the allegations. The presiding judge, Justice Valentine Ashe, granted them bail in the sum of 500 billion naira and 2 sureties each in the like sum. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has affirmed Ayogweze as the governorship candidate of the APC in Enugu State for the forthcoming election. The appellate court, in a unanimous judgment by a 3-member panel led by Abdul Aboki on Thursday, set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, which earlier affirmed Judge Ogara as the All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate of the state on the ground that the suit brought before the trial court is statute buried and not competent in law, having been filed outside the mandatory 14 days in line with the provision of the law. The APC held its primaries on October 4th and Ruagaga filed its suit at the Federal High Court on November 5th. The appellate court held that the failure of the respondent to file the suit within 14 days has offended Section 285, removed jurisdiction from the trial court, and made the case to be statute bar. Collection of sensitive materials by local government is in top gear in Lagos. Hingino is our guide. Hello, Hingino.
Thank you, Miriam, and welcome to Lagos. In line with its commitment towards avoiding late arrival of election materials this Saturday at polling units, INEC has commenced the distribution of sensitive materials to the 20 local government areas in Lagos State. Rotimi Oluwagbemi, who visited some of the local governments, reports that most of them are yet to receive the materials.
In all the local governments visited, only Yaba has a proof of receiving the sensitive materials for this Saturday's governorship and House of Assembly elections. At Ajirami Felodun local government area, the INEC officials who spoke behind camera said the council is yet to receive materials from the CBN as at the time NTA visited their office. The Lagos Island local government chairman, Kamal Salau Bashwa, who spoke with NTA, said the party's agents have gone to CBN to monitor the distribution of the materials.
The electoral officer for Lagos Island local government was at Central Bank, which is just a few meters away from here, yesterday night, and I'm sure that they must have received the sensitive materials. And it's left for the INEC, but our agents, the All Progressive Party, was there to actually verify and witness the distribution.
The chairman, however, appealed to INEC to expedite action to ensure quick distribution of the sensitive materials. In Lagos, Rotimi Oluwagbemi, NTA News.
The need for voter education is a continuous process and should be seen as a collective responsibility by all stakeholders. Lagos State Director, National Orientation Agency, Wahid Ishola, says the way out of flaws on the part of electorate is sustained awareness campaign on the process.
Voter education is important, particularly against the background of an increased number of rejected votes in the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections. Statistics show that 1,289,607 votes cast were rejected in the polls. This figure is higher by 445,088 invalid votes recorded in 2015. It is for this reason the National Orientation Agency is advocating more voter education ahead of Saturday's polls.
Reducing the scourge of voided votes, I'm going to advise the electorate to ensure that they use the tip of any of their fingers to mark the space in front of the party, the logo of the party of their choice. They should ensure that the mark does not smear into another box of another political party.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command says it is stepping up surveillance and regular patrols on identified flashpoints from the February 23 elections in the state. Commissioner of Police Zuberu Mwazu also rolled out plans for riverine communities in the state.
One of the issues we discussed was the issue of the flashpoints, especially where we had incidences in the last elections. The Navy has their own facilities, their gunboats. The Police Marine Department has some facilities. So we are going to work together with them and ensure that all the riverine communities are well protected.
With assurance from security agencies and stakeholders, all is now set for the elections. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
Efforts by the federal government to develop the oil and gas sector has resulted in the establishment of 5 world-class fabrication yards handling over 60,000 metric tons of fabrication in the country. Executive Secretary, Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board, Simbi Wabote, at a media parley in Lagos said the board is working with industry regulators to foster growth of local content in oil and gas. Abolade Salami has details.
In its quest to build local capacities in the oil and gas industry, the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board has built 2 world-class pipe mills for transportation of hydrocarbon and engineering houses to carry out all engineering works from conceptual design up to the detailed design. Executive Secretary of the board, Simbi Wabote, said the federal government's ease of doing business initiative has contributed immensely to the construction of 5 world-class coating plants, which has continued to impact on the development of the upstream, midstream and downstream sectors of the industry.
As a matter of fact, in the GINA project that we just completed, it's on record that it is the biggest FPSO in the whole world, 200,000 barrels per day production. That has been the biggest that has been built so far. All the paint that was utilized for that project was manufactured here in Nigeria.
In line with sustaining the trajectory of growth in this sector, the board, through the Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair, will host operators, service providers, delegates, and stakeholders at its 2nd edition of Oil and Gas Fair to deliberate on how to maximize investments in the oil and gas industry for the benefit of Nigerians.
Also, we have a world-class oil and gas facility also in Port Harcourt. That's a facility that you cannot find anywhere in Africa. Well-integrated facility.
The inherent potential benefits at the fair include integrating oil-producing communities into the oil and gas value chain, maximizing participation of Nigerians in oil and gas activities, as well as how to link oil and gas sector to other sectors of the economy. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. We now head over to Felicia in our Just Network Center for more reports on Nationwide.
Welcome to Just. Ahead of the governorship, state assembly, and supplementary elections in Plateau State, the Independent National Electoral Commission has distributed all sensitive and non-sensitive materials to the 17 local government areas of the state. Mary Domtur reports.
With timely and transparent distribution of sensitive materials, the electoral umpire in the state can be said to be prepared to conduct a free and credible election come Saturday. The sensitive materials were handed over to INEC by the Jos branch controller of CBN in the presence of representatives of various political parties and the security.
We are here to witness, as usual, the transparent distribution of the sensitive materials composed of ballot papers and result sheets for the governorship election and the 24 State House of Assembly elections, plus those areas where we could not conclude the National Assembly elections.
For Plateau State, 21 governorship candidates across 21 political parties are contesting. Political pundits point out that 3 major governorship candidates from the APC, PDP and ADP appear to be the major contenders in the contest for who occupies the Little Rayfield Government House in Jos. In Jos, Mary Domtur, NTA News.
Still on preparations towards a peaceful governorship and state assembly elections, a joint operation show of force has been carried out by security agencies in the state. This is to show the agencies' readiness to secure lives and property in the state before, during and after the elections. Rinred Silvanus Lott also reports that interagency security meeting had earlier taken place at the police headquarters in Jos.
The combined team of all security personnel in the state showing off their readiness were addressed by the Commissioner of Police, Isaac Akimoide, who says the task ahead is serious and achievable. The operation then began from the police headquarters. It went through the city center, Amadou Bello Way, through Masalachi Juma Street, Bauchi roads and other parts of the metropolis. Same operation will also go on in Pangshin and Lantang local government areas of the state. With security concerns topmost for the Commissioner of Police, who is overseeing safety for every Plateau resident, he says over 8,000 security personnel have been deployed from both the police and other sister agencies in the state. Answering questions from newsmen, the CP says the meeting is to analyze their performance in the last election and find ways of improving, especially in flashpoints like Jos North.
Concerning Kaban to Wada, which we have to, I think we still have a meeting with stakeholders because the essence of our meeting is to ensure that there is peace.
The call by the Plateau State Security Body is for everyone to be calm and conduct themselves well before and after the elections. In Jos, Rinred Silvanus Lott, NTA News.
We'll now take a commercial break. Nationwide continues shortly in Abuja.
For a long time, I was reluctant to exercise my civic responsibility because I never got involved in voting for the right candidate of my choice. Little did I know that I was limiting my opportunities to a fulfilled and happier life. Most of us suffer a great deal and are frustrated over time. Because of this same action, we now find ourselves working so hard to make it in life with little to show for it. The general elections are here again, offering us opportunities with unlimited possibilities. Ensure you abide by the law and up to the age of 18 to be eligible to cast your votes. Make sure you have your permanent voter's card, your PVC. Do not buy or sell your votes.
The supplementary election will hold alongside
gubernatorial and state assembly elections on March 9th. Say no to violence.
This message is brought to you by the National Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, and the National Human Rights Commission, with support from the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP.
When you hear that sound, you know that Nigeria's most authentic newscast is about to begin. NTA Network News, breaking the news for over 40 years.
Thanks for staying tuned. INEC in Osun State has commenced the distribution of sensitive materials ahead of Saturday's State House of Assembly polls. Although branches of the Central Bank of Nigeria in other parts of the country permit the press to cover the exercise whenever branches of INEC receive the materials for distribution. The CBN branch in Osogbo does not allow journalists. Correspondent Tokpe Alabi reports that it is the same attitude this Thursday which led to a mild drama.
The INEC headquarters in Osogbo, activities commence the election on Saturday is already underway. The commission is on their way to the Central Bank of Nigeria, where sensitive materials will be distributed. As a matter of fact, we're not so sure whether journalists will be allowed into the Central Bank arena, as it was bad in the previous election from witnessing the distribution exercise. As the situation unfolds here in Osogbo, we shall get back to you in the studios.
Ahead of the gubernatorial and state assembly elections on Saturday, guests on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, have called for adequate measures to be put in place to facilitate vulnerable groups and people living with disabilities in casting their vote. They urged INEC to improve upon the challenge of security and logistics, as well as delays in voting at some polling stations across the country, which hampered the February 23rd elections. Abdusalam Jibril tells us more.
The Nigerian voters are once again ready to head to the polls for another round of elections. Guests on the program, while highlighting the peculiar challenges vulnerable persons face in the voting process, called for an implementable framework that will afford them smooth participation in the upcoming and subsequent elections.
Women with children, the aged, persons with disabilities, whenever they come out to cast their votes or to get accredited, should be given priority.
During the election proper, what went wrong? A few things were right. What went wrong was, one, deployment of those materials to the people who needed it.
The key issues were that these materials were not seen in the field. Probably INEC might have deployed it, but our observation shows that polling unit officials do not understand this material.
6 months back, there are a lot of programs that have been earmarked to make that women are sensitized to know that it's their right to join politics.
NTA's correspondents in Rivers, Ogun, and Plateau states also maintain that the atmosphere in these states is calm and peaceful, and all is set for the elections on Saturday, March 9th.
Everybody is ready. The candidates are ready. They have told the people what they wish to do for them.
Everything seems to be calm. Perhaps all the political parties or the gladiators that they were have learned one lesson or the other.
By and large, we feel that the process will be interesting at the end of the day.
They also encourage Nigerians to come out en masse and vote for their preferred candidates during the elections. In Abuja, Abdusalam Jibril, NTA News.
Still staying with election matters, ahead of Saturday's gubernatorial and state assembly elections, the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to take steps necessary for a smooth conduct. Convener of the Situation Room, Clement Nwako, urges the commission to learn from the mistakes of the presidential elections.
The way the administration of the election was conducted. This is an election that is much more localized, so there'll be a lot more interest, there'll be a lot more controversial, a lot more contentious. So we expect that INEC knows to start the polls early, knows to deliver materials, knows to be able to control the interference of the security in the elections, because it has statutory powers to define the extent of participation of security officials in these elections. So we are asking INEC to better manage this election than happened with the presidential and National Assembly elections.
The Situation Room advises politicians to shun acts that may lead to violence. Moving on to drug matters, the Minister for Women Affairs and Rural Development, Aisha Abubakar, has called for more support in tackling the dangers of drug abuse amongst women and children, even as the world marks the Women's Day. Ruth Agwele reports that the minister made this call when she received members of the Queen's College Old Girls Association, Abuja, and North Chapter on advocacy visit for women and girls against drug abuse.
8th of March every year is very significant, as it is a focal point in the movement for women's rights all over the world. But part of the concerns for this year's International Women's Day is the increase in the use of drugs among women and girls. As statistics reveals that 1 in 4 drug users is a woman. On this premise, the association is advocating support from the ministry in the fight against the menace.
Because it's not only affecting the girls, it's also affecting the boys, and it's now begun to affect our mothers. We want to see how best we can curb the epidemic.
When you give a woman an opportunity to give voice to her pain, to where she's bleeding, you've given her voice, not just for one, but for many more.
The minister commended the women for soliciting gender-balanced voices and stated that tackling drug abuse is part of the major concerns of the federal government, as it poses significant threats to the social, health, economic fabrics of the family and productivity of the nation at large.
So all hands are on deck in the ministry, whereby we have different strategies, different programs that we're running, partnering with different civil society organizations also, as well as NGOs. So we will continue to plead and advocate for women to come out more.
Protecting the rights of women and reducing the adverse effects of drug abuse in women and girls is the consensus which the stakeholders believe can be achieved through capacity building, creating more awareness and empowerment schemes in building the self-esteem amongst women. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NT News.
Thank you, Ruth. INEC distributing materials in Ilorin. Let's join Kemi Oshin for this and more. Hello, Kemi.
Hello and welcome to Ibadan. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Kwara State has commenced the distribution of sensitive voting materials to the 16 local government areas in the state. Raliat Ibrahim now reports.
The sensitive materials, which include ballot papers and result sheets, are labeled according to the local government area they are being disbursed to. Representatives of political parties, local and foreign observers, as well as journalists, were invited by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to witness the distribution process.
The resident commissioner has been able to pass the information, the content of the consignment, to all the political parties.
We have gone around to see the electoral materials. All the electoral materials are intact.
They have allowed everybody to see what is going on. So one is encouraged.
The state's resident electoral commissioner, Malam Atairu Madami, said the lapses observed in the February 23rd presidential election has been redressed, and the commission is set to conduct a better election on Saturday.
The more you train, the more you perfect what you are doing. I'm very optimistic that we'll score 98% in this present election.
He said the materials will be escorted to the local government with armed escorts and will be guarded till they are taken to the points of voting on Saturday, March 9th. Raliat Ibrahim, NT.
And the death trap that the Ogbomoso end of a new Ilorin-Oyo expressway has become in recent time is generating concerns among residents and stakeholders in the town. Correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that the anxiety is further heightened by the recent fuel tanker explosion along the highway.
The Ilorin-Ogbomoso Expressway recently received attention from the federal government, which will commit itself to completing the project. Stakeholders, including representatives of the Federal Ministry of Works and the Federal Road Safety Corps, were on inspection and monitoring visit to the spot. But while residents of Ogbomoso and motorists along Ilorin-Oyo wait on government to complete the Ogbomoso-Oyo section of the road, they have had to count costs in lives, limbs, and property as the number of accidents at this particular interchange mounts. The latest, which thankfully did not claim any life, is the explosion from 2 fuel-laden trucks.
This road is a death trap in Ogbomoso.
Most of the time when trailers are coming from Ilorin, so some of them that do not understand that there's interchange here, they go straight into NTA compound. I think the most important thing we needed to do is that this road needs urgent attention. We have been writing.
The premises of NT Ogumosho, which sits opposite the interchange, is often a victim, serving as safe haven and sometimes holding pen for some of the characters involved in the mishaps.
The vehicle caught fire because people ran here with their vehicles, with their motorcycles. No, when they were about to escape, they put down the fence, and it has occurred several times.
The expectations of Ogumosho residents and those who ply this road is that government will rejig its efforts to ensure speedy completion of the road to forestall further loss of lives. In Ogumosho, Adini Taiwo, NTA News.
And from Osun State comes a report that the Osun State Governor has begun the rehabilitation and revitalization of 332 primary healthcare centers across the state. At the flag-off ceremony in Oshogbo, Governor Gboyega Oyetola says adequate attention will be given to the healthcare of women and children. Femi Afariogun has details.
Primary Health Center Okibale in Oshogbo is one of the many health centers spread across Osun State that could not maximize their potential of providing adequate health care for people due to lack of basic equipment and drugs. Osun State recently came second in Nigeria under the World Bank Saving 1 Million Lives program, and this gave the state access to over $20 million grant. Governor Oyetola is using part of this fund to revitalize 332 primary healthcare centers by providing medical equipment, HIV test kits, and medical consumables.
Our health facilities will be adequately functional to achieve the universal health coverage programs of the federal government. The revitalization initiative will help to combat and correct possible state negative health indices.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for keying to Mr. President's agenda of revitalizing 10,000 PSCs across the country. And you are the first state in Southwest to launch this program.
The revitalization and rehabilitation of the 332 primary healthcare centers is expected to be completed by middle of this year. In Oshogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Ibadan. Nationwide continues in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Kemi. Religious leaders have congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari on his re-election. At a gathering to celebrate the president's victory, both Christians and Muslim clerics prayed for a successful tenure, urging Nigerians to continue to support him.
Allah say, okay, I've chosen him for you. If you like, take it. If you don't like, don't take it. They said, okay, we are more good, we are better, we have money than President Buhari. We have things than him, we have knowledge more than him. But why do you choose him for us? And Allah say, Inna Allah astaghfiru alaykum. I've chosen it. If you are thinking it's not knowledgeable enough for you, then we supported him with Pastor Yemi Osibajo.
I pray that the victory of Mr. President will never come to an end, but we continue.
We have zero tolerance for corruption and eager to move our mining sector to the next level. That is the language of the Nigerian delegation at the 2019 Prospectors Developers Association of Canada Convention, PDAC, in Toronto. Joy Usiago reports that it is no longer business as usual.
With over 25,000 attendees from 135 countries and 1,000 exhibitors, the biggest annual mining event in North America, PDAC, PDAC, presented a veritable platform for stakeholders to learn about new trends and technologies impacting the mining sector. Nigeria is taking advantage of the crucial meeting of the world's mineral and finance industry.
The time is ripe for Nigeria and Canada to engage. Solid minerals is an area which we have identified as a place for meaningful collaboration between our two countries.
We're looking at gold. We're looking at lead zinc, which Nigeria has an advantage globally. Exploration contracts have been awarded in the key minerals that we think Nigeria has advantage.
Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Philip Baker, attests that the political will of the federal government in the mining sector is encouraging.
The leadership and the laser-sharp focus of what this delegation has come to achieve here, the planning that went into it before they got here, and the determination in driving through every day here has been highly impressive. This is how you do PDAC.
The Nigerian delegation and the Nigerian High Commission in Ottawa are holding series of meetings with prospective investors. From the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, Joy Usiagu, NTA News.
The National Inland Waterways NIWA has signed agreement with a private firm, Nigeria, for the procurement and installment of harbour crane for Lokoja Jamata River Port. The ceremony took place at NIWA Administrative Headquarters. Madaki Aliu reports.
The 64-ton mobile harbour crane is to be supplied and maintained by the company, who would in turn install the equipment in Lokoja. According to the contract agreement, Labour is expected to provide training and spare parts that will run for a period of 3 years. The advantage of the agreement is that the partnership will provide flexibility to train Nigerian personnel of both Onitsha Port and that of Lokoja due to their similarities. The Managing Director, National Inland Waterways, Senator Olorunube Mamora, said the signing ceremony represents significant milestone as construction of the Lokoja Jamata River Port will be done simultaneously with the provision of the crane.
Essentially, it is to let all and sundry know that that project has not been abandoned. Because if it had been abandoned, there will be no basis to have this contract signing in place. No.
A representative of the company, Mr. Jade Dawalipi, assured the National Inland Waterways of its readiness to execute the contract specification within the time frame.
We expect the delivery should be within the next 6 months, provided all the paperwork are in order, but we hope to get it here within 6 months.
When installed, the crane is expected to lift and lower liquid or containerized cargo onto or from vessels to the land. From Lokoja, Amada Kaliu, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Nationwide. Another break beckons. Don't go away.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the role of the media in election coverage. Exclusive on the National Broadcasting Commission, its mandate as the sole regulator of Nigerian media. Dr. Toba Daba then and Ishak Modibo Kawu now. This edition also features the king of stand-up comedy in Nigeria, Ali Baba. NTA standards to be ready for election transmission after decades of abandonment. Find out from the DG transactional elections in our political space. An evil wind that blows no good. DG, National Orientation Agency Conference. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, x-rays the impact of social media on electioneering process as electorates present their expectations from incoming government. Meet some TV professionals behind the screen and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Get the latest news and updates from across Nigeria on NTA Nationwide. NTA Nationwide, weekdays by 4 p.m. Get it first. Get it fresh.
Thanks for staying tuned. New mini stadium inaugurated in Dawakin Kudu, Kano, as South African Trade Union challenges racism in sports. Tamara Ebiwe brings us details.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalung has reiterated the commitment of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration in reinvigorating grassroots sports development in the country. Ali Adamu reports that the minister was speaking at the inauguration of a mini stadium in Dawakin Kudu, local government area of Kano State, alongside Governor Umar Ganduje.
In the years ahead, we will put more of these facilities at the grassroots so that we can produce the so many likes of Kano, the so many likes of Jeje Okocha, and all the hosts of great sportsmen and women we have in this country.
We have the highest number of youth in Nigeria. Therefore, this project has been constructed in a place where it is supposed to be constructed.